Support for the Local Government News Roundup comes from Rath Engineering Development, smarter systems for local government, like Red GMS, helping councils manage gravel pits and projects, track quality, test results, blending options and haulage, and know the true cost per tonne from day one. Rath Engineering Development can give you a one-off report that uses your existing pit data to pinpoint the best gravel sources for your next resheeting program or disaster restoration works, saving your council time and money. For local government systems built from real on-the-ground experience, talk to the team at Rath Engineering Development. Head to rathed.com.au to find out more. Coming up, CEO resignations affecting 4 states, a $15 million court decision with sector-wide implications, industrial action at some Melbourne councils escalates, police are called as Liverpool's by-election descends into chaos, the council pausing green waste collections to save on fuel, a councillor steps down after months of controversy, a costly clean-up after a run of vandalism in Kiama, and Queensland councils staring into a financial black hole. Hello, I'm Chris Eddy. All of that and much more just ahead on Australia's #1 local government podcast, brought to you by the Victorian Local Governance Association, the national broadcaster on all things local government. And support comes from Symphony 3, simple, connected customer experiences, and Rath Engineering Development, smarter local government systems built from real on-the-ground experience. Welcome wherever you're listening across Australia or around the world. It's Friday the 17th of April 2026 and here are today's top 3 stories. The city of Joondalup in Western Australia is getting a new leader. Whittlesea CEO Craig Lloyd has been appointed as the council's new Chief Executive Officer. Mr Lloyd has spent the last 6 years at Whittlesea, leading through a period of administration, the return of councillors in 2024 and a commission of inquiry last year. He takes up his new role in late May. Changes are coming also to Hawkesbury City Council in New South Wales following the resignation and departure this week of General Manager Elizabeth Richardson. Ms Richardson is credited with a massive expansion of the city's infrastructure program during her 5-year tenure, and she led the community through several major flood recoveries. Director of Infrastructure Will Barton has stepped in as acting General Manager, while the search for a permanent replacement begins. The Mayor, Les Sheether, assures residents it remains business as usual for the city. And in Queensland, Charters Towers Regional Council is searching for a new leader too, after the shock resignation of CEO Katrina Ewer. Ms Ewer, who took the role last August after moving from Berriganshire in New South Wales, stepped down without notice on Monday. Mayor Liz Schmidt describing the exit as sudden, but citing a lack of fit for the organisation. Former CEO Martin Drysdale has been brought out of the wings to lead the council in the interim. CEO and General Manager news heading today's roundup. Those are your top 3 stories for Friday, the 17th of April. So much more news to report today. Let's go to Victoria, where a boundary fence at a suburban cricket oval has ended up in the Supreme Court and cost the city of Whittlesea more than $15 million. Jordan Woolnough was training at Lorimar Recreation Reserve in Doreen when he jumped a fence to reach nearby nets, caught his foot and fell, leaving him quadriplegic. Justice James Gorton found the council was negligent for not installing a pedestrian gate where people regularly crossed. The council says it's considering an appeal, according to the Herald Sun. Tune in to this week's VLGA Connect episode when Tony Brownick joins me to unpack that decision and the implications for councils more broadly. Industrial action impacting some Melbourne councils is escalating, with Marybeck Council library staff joining the action this week, according to the Brunswick Voice. Union members have already imposed bans that affect parking fines, inspections, mowing, street cleaning and, in some streets, household rubbish collection. Maribyrnong City Council says protected industrial action is starting to show up in its day-to-day services. The council says it's shifting staff to protect public safety, but warns some work may need to be delayed or limited, including street cleaning, mowing parks and sports fields, and some customer service and permit processing. It also says parking enforcement may be reduced in some areas, but residential curbside rubbish collection is not affected. Both councils say they're continuing to bargain in good faith and asking residents for patience as talks continue. Yarra City Council has voted to revive an affordable housing plan in Collingwood 5 years after a public clash with the Victorian government. The council will seek expressions of interest to lease a council car park site near Collingwood Town Hall, aiming for at least 50 rentals for key workers. Mayor Councillor Stephen Jolly says the project is about backing people priced out of the area, not just homeowners. There's anger on Mount Macedon, where conservation groups say Parks Victoria has begun removing trees and shrubs, including rare snow gums, after the Planning Minister approved a pathway that sidesteps a refusal from Macedon Rangers Shire Council. The Victorian National Parks Association says the work is being driven by lobbying to restore view lines at the Memorial Cross, and it wants an immediate halt, plus the release of ecological assessments and decision documents. Campaigner Ben Gill says a council decision has been overridden through a backdoor process which undermines confidence. FIFA World Cup fever is building in the city of Hume, and the council is looking at local live sites so people can watch together close to home. Councillor Naim Kurt has pushed for select match screenings in June, with officers asked to scout venues in Broadmeadows first. The Star Weekly reported that councillors want to provide options around Hume so people don't have to head to Federation Square. The first proposed screening would be on Sunday, June 14, the Australia versus Turkey match, starting at 1 p.m. Greater Shepparton City Council is stepping up its push to make sure local voices shape the next Murray-Darling Basin plan. Mayor Shane Sarley and Deputy Mayor Jeff Akers have met with the Murray-Darling Basin Authority officials and state and federal representatives to press the region's case as Australia's food bowl. The council is urging residents and industry to lodge submissions before the 1st of May. And Yarriambiack Shire Council is making its pitch ahead of the state election, laying out what it says the region needs next. Mayor Andrew McLean says the council has sent its priority projects to state MPs, urging for their support. Top of the list is funding for roads, with more heavy vehicle traffic expected from energy and mining proposals. Housing infrastructure and upgrades to community hubs also feature strongly on the list of priorities. Also making news, a by-election has been set for Kingston City Council's Melaleuca ward following the resignation of Councillor Tess Law. Election day is the 1st of August, with voting to be conducted by post. Nominations open on the 15th of June. In Horsham, the idea of a bypass is moving from talk to process. The council's new bypass planning community reference group has held its first meeting to help decide whether a route around the town is needed and where it might go. The group will draft criteria to assess options before taking its findings back to the community. And a new Welcome to Country video has been created by Gannawarra Shire Council as a local statement of respect and continuity. The first public screening was held recently at the Glass House, celebrating the children, young people and elders who helped make it. CEO Jeff Rowlandson says it reflects today's Aboriginal community and will be used when an elder cannot attend, including at monthly council meetings. You are listening to the Local Government News Roundup. It's our edition for Friday the 17th of April, brought to you by the Victorian Local Governance Association. I mentioned earlier Tony Rownick coming up on this week's VLGA Connect. That episode due out later today. We will talk about the Supreme Court decision affecting the city of Whittlesea, that $15 million payout. We'll also talk about a recent Fair Work Commission ruling relating to Hobsons Bay City Council, and I'll be joined by the CEO of Cardinia Shire Council, James Collins, for a catch-up as he recently ticked over 6 months in the job. That's coming up on VLGA Connect, available later today on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. To New South Wales now, and police were called to a polling booth yesterday after Liverpool Council's by-election reportedly descended into chaos. The Sydney Morning Herald reports that officers arrived at the scene following heated confrontations between a councillor and a candidate and allegations of voter intimidation. Witnesses described a volatile atmosphere that left some residents feeling unsafe to cast their ballots. The New South Wales Electoral Commission is reportedly monitoring the situation, though no arrests have been confirmed. The Herald describes the situation as escalating, with more to come. Follow the story at smh.com.au. Upper Lachlan Shire Council has announced a pause on green waste collections as a fuel-saving measure. The council says curbside pickups will stop from Monday the 27th of April, so limited fuel can be kept for essential operations during ongoing supply uncertainty. The move was agreed at the April 16 council meeting. Mayor John Culhane says the decision was difficult but necessary to keep critical work running without disruption. A new survey finds half of all council workers in New South Wales are struggling with fuel costs, with 4 in 10 paying at least $50 extra each week and 2 in 10 more than $100. 7 in 10 say existing allowances are not covering the rise, and 1 in 10 are considering leaving local government. The United Services Union has filed for a new award seeking guaranteed work from home rights and a 50% lift in fuel subsidies from 83 cents a kilometre. A run of vandalism in Kiama has led to a costly clean-up. The council says sculptures in the Kiama Sculpture Walk have been knocked over at Black Beach Reserve. Toilet blocks in town have been damaged, a bin was set alight, and glass bottles smashed at Coronation Park. Acting Mayor Melissa Matters says finances are tight and ratepayers should not have to fund repairs for what she calls mindless vandalism. Qantas says it will temporarily suspend its direct Coffs Harbour to Melbourne flights from May 18 to June 14 as it cuts services across the country. Coffs Harbour Mayor Nikki Williams says the break will be inconvenient for travellers and could hit inbound tourism. She says the city expects Qantas to honour existing bookings and to avoid price spikes on the Coffs to Sydney route as passengers are rerouted. In Wagga Wagga, Charles Sturt University is handing the Riverina Playhouse back to the City Council, ending more than 40 years at the venue. The council will resume control from the 1st of July. CSU Acting Chief Operating Officer Sandra Sharpham says the handover should strengthen arts and community events while preserving the Playhouse as a cultural asset. Also in Wagga Wagga, a long-running debate over a new CBD hotel has ended with a narrow vote. According to the Daily Advertiser, councillors have approved a 5-storey 30-room project on Peter Street, 4 votes to 3, after the developer sought a change to parking rules. Councillor Frank Standfast has resigned from Winton Shire Council effective the 30th of April. Mayor Kathy White has acknowledged and thanked Councillor Standfast for his service to the community. A by-election will be held to fill the vacancy. The New South Wales Country Mayors Association has created a new honorary role, naming 3 former chairs as its inaugural patrons. Emeritus Mayors Katrina Humphreys from Moree Plains, Ken Keith OAM from Parkes and Jamie Chaffey MP, formerly of Gunnedah Shire, are being recognised for years of leadership. Current Chair Mayor Rick Furman, OAM of Temora Shire, says being chosen by peers to lead the group is a major commitment, and the association's growth to 89 member councils reflects that work. A formal presentation is planned later this year. And in Balranald, Council has issued a warning that fuel supply problems are being felt on the ground with flow-on effects for local business. In a statement, Mayor Louis Zafina links uncertainty around fuel availability and cost to pressure on farm operations and the wider supply chain. He says regional communities need clear information and support to avoid disruptions compounding existing strain in the dairy industry. Also making news in New South Wales, Dubbo Regional Council has reported the theft of a 2.5 metre high carob tree from Victoria Park in Dubbo. The council says it was reviewing CCTV footage yesterday following the theft of the tree, roughly valued at $1,200. In Tamworth, a new public artwork is being planned to greet visitors at the Australian Equine and Livestock Events Centre. A local sculptor, Adam Humphreys, has designed a pair of steel horses built from hundreds of rods posed while grazing. And Wingecarribee Council says it's changed the configuration of seating in its council chamber for safety reasons. The changes are in response to concerns about the meeting environment, with the aim of ensuring the space supports professional debate. You might describe that new configuration as a civility configuration, and the reason I mention that is as I record this, we're getting ready to go live for the Global Civility Summit. By the time you hear this, it will have happened. 3 hours with people from around the world. They're coming from North America, Canada and the US, as well as Australia and the UK, to hear from civic leaders about this civility issue, and it all ties in with Diane Kaelin-Sucra's fabulous new book, which has raced to the top of the bestseller charts on Amazon. It's called Lead with Civility. I hope you were able to join us. Let's move on with news now from Queensland, where council say they're staring into a financial black hole as a major federal infrastructure program nears its end. The Local Government Association of Queensland is urging Treasurer Jim Chalmers to lock in ongoing funding before the Local Roads and Community Infrastructure Program expires on June 30. LGAQ President, Gladstone Regional Council Mayor Matt Burnett, says the program pays for roads, sports grounds and local facilities, and the smallest communities will be hit the hardest. Now, we're not done talking about the fuel crisis. It really is the hot topic at the moment. In southwest Queensland, a regional mayor is pushing back against those new federal messages on fuel use. Balonne Mayor Samantha O'Toole says the government's Every Little Bit Helps campaign, asking Australians to limit driving, ignores the reality of remote communities. She says farmers, small business and tourism operators can't swap to public transport, and she fears the ads will discourage visitors at a time when local fuel supplies are already uncertain. As that crunch drags on, Redland City Council has added a new map to its disaster dashboard, pulling in daily prices and whether different fuels are available at individual service stations, including on North Stradbroke Island. Council is encouraging residents to bookmark the dashboard and check the fuel status layer before heading out. If you're looking for a national dashboard giving you independent fuel reserve and pricing transparency from every state, you should check out AussieOilWatch.com. It's been built by our friends at Rath Engineering Development and already providing lots of useful data to thousands of users across Australia. If you follow it on Facebook, you'll see daily updates at 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. Bookmark that one, AussieOilWatch.com. Ipswich has just taken out a new title, Queensland's fastest growing city. New figures show the city grew 3.5% in the year to June 2025, adding more than 9,000 residents. Mayor Teresa Harding says that growth reflects a lifestyle people are choosing and a local economy now valued at around $15 billion. In far north Queensland, the price tag for getting the Daintree ferry back on the river is landing on Douglas Shire Council, which says flood damage in early March has kept the crossing shut for 4 weeks. The total hit could reach $1.8 million, and the Cairns Post reports that the state agency that runs disaster recovery funding has told the council the ferry is unlikely to qualify. And in Townsville, a council crackdown on dilapidated buildings is being branded a failure. A local law passed in 2020 promised fines of up to $26,000 for owners who let CBD properties fall into ruin. But 6 years on, the Townsville Bulletin reports not a single fine has been issued, and long-running eyesores like the old Dimmies building remain. Whipping round the other states now, and after a term described as scandal-plagued, long-serving Launceston City Councillor Danny Gibson has resigned, effective immediately. After 15 years on the council, including a stint as mayor, Gibson says the significant toll of recent months led to his decision to step away. The move follows a period of heavy controversy and intense public scrutiny over historical allegations, which he has consistently denied. Gibson maintains his pride in his years of service to the community, but says it's time to focus on his personal well-being. A recount will be held to fill his seat on the council. Links in the transcript there for reporting on that from ABC News and from Pulse Tasmania. Major reforms to Tasmania's local government sector have cleared a significant hurdle, passing the House of Assembly yesterday. Local Government Minister Kerry Vincent says the targeted reform bill modernises 30-year-old legislation to elevate conduct standards and boost council accountability. Developed alongside the Local Government Association of Tasmania, the changes focus on improving the strategic capability of the state's 29 councils. The bill now moves to the Legislative Council, with the government aiming to have the new standards in place well ahead of local elections later this year. And in Tasmania's northwest, a boundary dispute at Boat Harbour has ended up in court, with former Waratah Wynyard councillor Darren Fairbrother pleading guilty to trespass and injuring property. Prosecutors say he sprayed pink paint on a neighbour's eaves last November. This is according to the Advocate. and then returned a month later to shift her security cameras away from his house. All captured on CCTV, partly shielded by an umbrella. The magistrate has placed Mr Fairbrother on a 6-month good behaviour bond without recording a conviction. In South Australia, Adelaide councillors are being asked to look hard at a fast fix for a long-running problem, safer cycling in the CBD. A motion from Councillor Eleanor Freeman calls for pop-up bike lanes, built with temporary barriers and paint, so routes can be tested quickly as fuel prices surge. Councillor Freeman says Adelaide has wide streets, but no plan for rapid bike infrastructure when travel habits change. More on that from In Daily SA. The Local Government Association of South Australia has issued a reminder that new workplace protection laws designed to safeguard public-facing council staff will come into effect next month. And with the November 2026 local government elections approaching, the Remuneration Tribunal has officially begun its review of council member allowances. The deadline for submissions has been extended to the 1st of May. Across to Western Australia, a council trip meant to inform development of a new aquatic centre is drawing scrutiny in Perth's southeast after 5 City of Gosnells representatives visited a lagoon-style pool in New South Wales. Your Local Examiner reported the 2-day trip to Campbelltown cost about $9,400, paid through elected member training allowances. Mayor Teresa Lyons and CEO Ian Cowie say the visit was due diligence for a project that could cost around $50 million, and there's no comparable facility in Western Australia. The West Australian has published an apology to Perth Deputy Lord Mayor David Goncalves. It says it wrongly asserted in an article in March that the Deputy Lord Mayor had falsely claimed he lodged a WorkSafe claim against the city's CEO and administration at the city's February council meeting. The masthead has withdrawn any suggestion that Deputy Lord Mayor Goncalves misled or lied to council and apologised to him for any harm or damage caused. And in Kalgoorlie-Boulder, a national review is backing the city's long-running argument that regional aged care funding is not keeping up with the real costs of distance. The federal review used Kalgoorlie-Boulder as a case study, finding the remoteness classification system can miss the pressure of workforce shortages and higher operating costs in isolated service hubs. Deputy Mayor Terence Winner says it matters because without staff, local services suffer. The review recommends Kalgoorlie-Boulder be listed as an aged care priority area, a move the city says could support more stable long-term funding for providers across the goldfields. Now let's head overseas for some stories of interest. In the UK, a new pay tally is renewing scrutiny on council budgets. The Taxpayers Alliance says 4,733 local authority employees took home more than £100,000 in total remuneration last financial year. That's up 827 on the year before. It says 1,255 earned at least $150,000 and 366 topped £200,000. The group says its Town Hall Rich List has tracked an 8-fold rise since 2005. In the US, to Fort Deposit, Alabama, a former mayor and a former city council candidate have been arrested in an investigation into alleged absentee ballot fraud in last year's city election. WAKA News reported that former Mayor Jacqueline Boone and former council candidate Stephen Thigpen are charged with unlawful use of absentee ballots, a Class C felony. Both were declared winners in August, but the election was later set aside over irregularities, and a special election was held in January. Under Alabama law, the offence carries up to 10 years in prison. In Vancouver, Canada, Mayor Ken Sim is asking the council to take the next formal step towards a Major League Baseball team, as the league openly talks about expansion. According to Sportsnet, a motion due on the 22nd of this month would direct city staff to launch an expression of interest, to find an ownership group with the money, experience and a workable plan to run a franchise. MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred has already said another Canadian club would make sense, but there are practical hurdles, including whether BC Place can be adapted for baseball after renovations made the stadium less suitable. Also from Vancouver, news this week of a new kind of hotel floating in Cole Harbour. CTV News reports the City Council has approved a 250-room vessel from Finnish company Sunborn International to be moored beside the convention centre. Sunborn says the plan is temporary and there's no firm timeline for arrival. The city of Ottawa is trying a new way to tackle the problem of finding a family doctor. CTV News reports that City Hall has hired its first primary care ambassador, a 2-year pilot role meant to coordinate with health providers and help recruit and retain doctors and nurse practitioners. Ottawa Mayor Mark Sutcliffe says the appointment will help make the system more connected and responsive for patients. It's estimated Ottawa needs about 270 new primary care providers, and more than 200,000 residents are without one. From New Zealand, the ACT Party is launching a legislative bid to strip unelected representatives of voting rights on local council committees across the country. Leader David Seymour announced the campaign this week, seeking to amend the Local Government Act. He argues that only democratically elected officials should hold decision-making power over public funds and policy. The move specifically targets arrangements in regions like the Far North and New Plymouth, where iwi and hapu appointees currently hold voting seats. ACT describes the current system as a democratic backslide, while critics warn the move could undermine long-standing partnership agreements between local government and Maori. And in South Africa's northwest province, a forensic probe is raising fresh questions about accountability inside Suwang municipality. Investigators say the acting municipal manager, Sello Maroga, was paid a full municipal manager's salary, even though rules required only an allowance, topping up his provincial pay. According to The Citizen, the report also finds the council unlawfully extended his secondment beyond the term set by the provincial department, leaving the extension legally void. The mayor has demanded answers and wants the money repaid. And that's the latest from the Local Government News Roundup, edition number 575, recorded on the morning of Friday the 17th of April 2026. Comments or feedback and story tips can be sent to chris@lgnewsroundup.com. You'll find a transcript for this episode, including story links, at lgnewsroundup.com, along with more news that occurs between episodes of the podcast. The show is brought to you by the Victorian Local Governance Association, the national broadcaster on all things local government, with support from Symphony 3, simple, connected customer experiences, and Rath Engineering Development, smarter local government systems built from real on-the-ground experience. We record in the city of Greater Geelong, Victoria, on the land of the Wadawurrung people of the Kulin Nation. Until next time, thanks for listening, and bye for now. Support for the Roundup comes from Symphony 3, allowing councils to connect their systems securely, to automate their data flows and to monitor performance in real time. And right now, councils are lining up for their own emergency dashboard, like the one that Symphony 3 has created for the city of Greater Bendigo. The dashboard helps keep the community safe and prepared before, during and after emergencies. It pulls together live data, including weather data, traffic data, emergency incidents, unplanned and planned disruptions, news and social media feeds. Visit www.symphony3.com to learn how you can get an emergency dashboard for your community.